Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on our webcast. Today, we're going to discuss airlines. Whether it's you'd think it would be a good investment, but doesn't seem to be.
Yeah, you would think so. Have you booked a
Yeah.
flight recently?
No, I have not.
But how annoying is it when you see a flight advertised for one price, and then when you proceed through the screens, they tack on all these additional fees.
Right. Yeah.
And meanwhile, there's revenge travel that simply means anyone who didn't go on that trip during the pandemic is going on it now. So there's still quite strong demand for travel, but yet the airline stocks they've just never been a good investment.
Yeah. And it's interesting too that Warren Buffett back in 2020 sold off his shares, his airline shares, I guess four different companies.
Yeah.
So, but during the pandemic, with that being such a volatile industry, kind of makes sense. But I'm sure there are other factors that played on that as well.
Yeah, at the time he sold those shares, I was thinking that Bill Gates was in his ear. I think suggesting that the pandemic could go for years. Then when I heard him at one of his meetings who answer a question about this, and it sounds to me like it was more of a decision because if he owned those shares, it would be very difficult for the US government to bail out those companies when you've
Right.
got Warren Buffett as a shareholder. So does that mean they wanted him to bail them out, or does that
Right.
mean it's
The government.
just bad PR to bail out one of the world's richest men, being Warren Buffett? So I think that's the reason he sold. I don't think it had anything
Mhm.
to do with the actual
Interesting.
underlying investment. There was
Yeah.
probably politics behind it.
Yeah.
And I mean, so why has the industry never been a strong investment? These companies are very capital intensive. It costs
Mhm.
a lot of money to run an airline, and so their margins are very squeezed. They always increase capacity at the wrong time, and they're plagued with costs that they don't have a lot of control over, that being fuel and anytime there's a labor disruption.
Mhm.
So we recently looked at Air Canada just because it reduced their guidance last week. They cut their uh, EBITDA guidance. I hate EBITDA. That's a financial metric. It's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Those are big costs, and
Yeah.
I never look at that. I always just look at the bottom line earnings. But nevertheless, they reduced their EBITDA guidance by about 18%. The stock fell 4% in reaction.
Right.
So, but I thought I would give it a fresh look. And so listen to this. If you wanted to buy this stock right during the month when the whole world was shut down, which was March of 2020,
Hmm.
stock price was $15.75 at the end of the month. Guess what it is now?
Same.
Yeah, it is. It's $16. It hasn't moved at
Yeah.
all. And
Yeah.
so we love these contrarian ideas when something drops a lot and it's for something that will get solved. This would fall into that bucket, but I mean, here we are 4 years later, and you haven't made anything on this investment at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
There's no
The
dividend.
bank.
It's not a shareholder friendly company. They don't pay a dividend, and they've been very dilutive in recent years, which means they've issued a ton of stock. There's about
Mhm.
40% more shares in the market right now than there was in 2019.
But investors as a whole, aren't they still like they're still putting money into the airlines? They're still buying those shares. It's
Yeah,
almost like
yeah.
there's
Well,
like it's like a romance and travel. So
yep, it's
yeah,
true.
I'm
It's
still
true.
believing.
There are,
Right.
I mean, with every seller, there's a buyer. And I
Mhm.
mean, it's amazing how cheap this stock is. I think it's around 5 times earnings, but it's always been a cheap stock, perhaps
Right.
for good reason. So we're not going to buy this one, as you can tell, but I think
And
it's
a lot of people, Jeff, are, yeah, like since the pandemic ended, a substantial amount of people are traveling abroad, like you mentioned, bucket list, revenge travel, international travel, and some, I think that's like predominantly in the market right now. Plus, the domestic side of things are starting to pick up as well. So they were talking about maybe recovery in some of the airlines in the near future.
yeah, I mean, I would just play travel through another vehicle. There's the cruise ships you could buy. I wouldn't touch Disney. There's too many
Hmm.
moving parts on
Yeah,
that company. But I've invested in cruise lines in the past, and those worked out well for me.
yeah.
Um, but I don't think I would do so now. But airlines are just, they're still in that too hard camp. If you're gonna, these would be trades because these just don't look like long-term buy and holds to me. But for me, if I'm trading, I prefer playing the commodities because those are easier to trade.
Hmm.
You just want to buy them when they're really beat up. But with an airline, I can never tell if these things are beat up or if they're on the verge of a huge correction. With the commodity stocks, you can just tell. You always
Hmm.
want to buy those when they're completely out of favor and nobody wants to even disclose publicly that they own a commodity stock. Those are the best
Hmm.
times to buy them.
Yeah,
But so we're going to stay away from Air Canada and all the other airlines.
right. Okay.
They're just for too capital intensive and they just don't make money.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Sonny.
Talk to you later. Bye.